All right, good afternoon everyone. Today we're going to show you how to remove your roll set, your jaws, and your driver. So to start, make sure you unplug your Milford impact for safety reasons. So you're going to take an Allen wrench and you're going to loosen up this set screw here. This set screw here relieves the pressure off your roll set to allow you to clearly just pull it straight out. While you're removing your roll set, I always recommend taking a look at the roll set, making sure that the plunger is working correctly, make sure there's no critical wear marks or chipping to the roll set or even shaving, sticking. If that passes inspection, your roll set is still okay. If you see any of those, it is time to replace that roll set. After that, we'll then remove your jaws and your jaw springs. On this particular model, we have jaw springs and helper jaw springs. So to do that, you're going to remove these bolts up top, and on the back is a nylon lock bolt. Once you get it loose, you can finish doing it all by fingers. At this point, you can pull off the back side. It'll come off in two pieces, and the front you can pull off as one solid piece. The main things we are looking here is to make sure that your helper jaw springs don't have any cracking or distress, causing these basically not to work correctly, which these jaw springs here look fine. Next, before you even remove your jaws fully from the jaw spring, you can inspect your jaws first. You're going to look on the inside for any major wearing, cracking, or even the inside lip that holds or contains your rivet from shifting side to side to make sure that lip is still there, showing that character. Another thing you can do is you can push your jaws together like so, and you can look. This pattern at the bottom should make a clean diamond. If that diamond's been tripped away at any point, this also can cause issues with forming or feeding issues. Overall, these jaws look like they're in really good condition. The next part has a couple different steps, and it's the removing of your driver. Like I said, you want to make sure your machine's unplugged for this. At this point, you'd walk around your machine. You'd open up your flywheel guarding. You'd manually trip your solenoid or your clutch assembly and rotate the flywheel the direction the arrow is pointing. This will allow your driver to come down. As you'll see, there's a set screw here that holds your driver up in place. All we have to do now is to remove that set screw. Once that set screw is removed or loosened, you can pull your driver directly out. Here on the driver, we're going to look for the same things. Any major rivet head indentations inside the diameter of your driver. Also, any chipping or wear marks on the outer edges. Overall, this driver looks as it's in good shape, as it's fairly new. The other thing you can also check is to make sure your driver's not bent. A couple different ways you can do this. You can eye it, looking it down the driver, making sure everything looks as straight as possible. The next easiest way is to take it to a flat surface and to roll it and to see if there's any variation. Overall, it's in very good shape. So, next will be reinstalling all these pieces. So, always start with your driver. There's a notch here for that set screw, so that's how you'll load your driver. Push straight up, it'll come to a stop. Grab your Allen wrench and retighten the set screw. Tight is tight. You don't want to over tighten it. You might risk stripping out that set screw. Once that is back in place, you'll walk back around the guarding and finish doing the cycle. Same thing, follow the arrow of rotation. As you'll see, as it will finish its cycle and start returning itself home. Thus, flywheel will come to a hard stop and will give every now and then. At this point, you can either reach back behind the flywheel and push up the upper linkage to lock it back into place to allow your flywheel to move freely. If you do not do this, your overload will trip on your machine and just cause additional trouble. At this point, you can reset your 5-wheel guarding. Next, we'll install our jaws. Be sure you install your jaws the correct direction. You do not want to install them backwards. That won't work very well. You'll just lose a whole bunch of rivets. So to install your jaws, you want to make sure your helper springs are also installed correctly. You push your bolt through the 2 pieces, and then you connect up top to the first hole. Repeat that same step to the back side. And then just finger tight the nylon lock nut. That will hold it loosely in place, so it allows you to install your second bolt and nylon nut. At this point, we want to verify that our jaws are as close to even as possible, or square. This will ensure that our rivet is feeding correctly into the jaws and that our jaws aren't displaced. If they're displaced, the rivet has a ton of slop to be able to twist or turn or flip upside down, which will just damage your tooling overall. And sometimes it will even damage it to you have to replace it after running one rivet. So at this point, what I like to do is I'll get down eye level to the machine, make sure I push the jaws up so they're even all the way in the back. We want to see the tight line. We don't want a space, and if there is a space, you want to make sure that's an even space. Some machines will have a slight space in there, but overall there shouldn't be a space at all. Once you have that, you can proceed to tighten one of the bolts. Now you only want to start with one because you need to make those slight adjustments as you go. And then you can proceed just to tighten the top nut. Perfect. So now our jaws are now back on the machine. Lastly, we have a roll set. Depending on if you messed with the adjustment screw below, will depend if you have to realign your entire machine. If you never messed with the adjustment screw below, you should be all set to just install your roll set straight in. The biggest thing here is you don't want to over tighten this set screw here on your roll set. If you over tighten it, what you'll run into is your plunger getting stuck in one set position or not returning back to the top. That overall will cause damage to your plunger on the inside and break the springs, or will break your driver and your roll set all at once because that material has nowhere else to go or to form. So make sure it's down, seated down on your adjustment screw. Come in here and bring it in kind of just tight. Verify it by just pushing with your fingers up and down. Make sure it's moving freely. The other thing you want to just double check is make sure you can't pull it out. That alone will be okay and all set for operations. From there, everything is installed, and the only other thing is plug it back in and run some rivets.